Now, we are back and we've got your NRL round 19 and 20 debrief. And we start off with the Thursday night game from the Gold Coast. And I've got to tell you what, Canberra Raiders coming out on top of the Parramatta Eels, 12 points to 10. Could you see that one coming?
No, not at all. I was expecting Paramount to absolutely blitz not blitz the Raiders, because the Raiders have been going well over the last couple of weeks leading into this game.
Yeah.
But I was still expecting Paramount to win in, like I said, a 1-12 margin, but not lose. I said to Paramount to win by 6 last week, not lose by 2. So, no, this was a bit of a surprise.
I think what was even more of a surprise, the fact that there was a 0-0 scoreline at half time.
Yes. When's the last time you said
how rare is that?
Since very, very
in the
rare.
6 again era that we have had a scoreline which has basically been standing 0-0.
Yeah, you don't see that very often at all. I don't know.
No.
Don't know what got into it.
Oh well, I think we've always maintained that it's always the crackdown was always going to settle down at one point, and then
it certainly has now.
And I think it has. Crackdown has settled. 6 again, of course, been in for more than a year. Well, a couple of years now, continuously, and I think now we're seeing a couple more, or tighter margins in games. Even though we're still getting 1 or 2 scores that go out, but we're getting there. I will say we are getting there now. Well, let's start with this. It's from the second half when all the action really kicked off.
I reckon. Not wrong.
Now you hinted at Dylan Brown onside, offside.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Offside.
You think he was offside now?
Yep. If you zoom it right in, it's clear as day offside. He was well in front of the kicker.
And
or even if it wasn't zoomed in, like from the normal vision that we saw on during live coverage, it was offside.
And yet they still went ahead with that. They didn't call it up for offside?
No, they didn't. I still reckon it was offside.
Interesting with that was the way Canberra scored. First, the market defence with Jordan Rapana, who was practically the Raiders' standout for that game, and like a 4th or 5th string fullback, then coming in 1 try, 261 running meters, 15 tackle breaks, and 1 offload. That is unbelievable.
And he almost did that. He did that try, or almost tried stopping Sevo from scoring.
Well, he did.
Yeah.
Sevo's
second, I should say.
Yeah, and look, Parramatta could have easily won that. This is the second time that they've had a loss where it's in the last couple of weeks where it's been by a narrow margin. So, field goal loss to Penrith. Now there's 2-point loss to the Raiders.
This is where Parramatta tend to go a bit shaky.
Well, Mitchell Moses wasn't in the side, and you had rookie Jake Arthur in. So.
Yeah, but even last year, Parramatta were up in the top 4, top 6 all year, and then come late in the season, it'll get shaky and couldn't progress much into the finals.
Goals played a massive difference in this. If Gutherson nails that second conversion, the game's locked up at 12-all, goes the golden point, and then every man for himself there. But
the Raiders did take a shot at 1-point field goal, but missed. I can't remember that was at the end of the first half, or
no, it wasn't the first half.
It must have been during the second half.
Oh no, it might have been the first half, just to try and get something on the board. But I
can't remember who it was that would have taken a shot.
I think it might have been Sam Williams.
Yeah. Oh no, Matt Frawley. I think it was.
Oh yeah, might have been.
Anyway.
Well, someone does know. If you do, comment down below.
Yeah.
No, but otherwise, I think 3 on the trot. Canberra's
working
coming in
back
nicely.
up. They're just outside the 8 now. And what I mean by just, they're in 9th.
Biggest threats they have to face. Melbourne's obviously one of them.
Easy.
Manly would be another one. Although they do have to play the Roosters again, but hard to see where the Roosters are at the moment.
See there. Well, what round did they play the Roosters?
Round 25.
Roosters be on some by then. Generally speaking, if you look on form over the last couple of years, generally the Roosters are on some at more close to the finals than what they like in the running.
I think this could get interesting with the Roosters because we'll cover it more, but the injury toll they had, and I think now we will use this as a good segue.
Yeah.
All in all, I still think Parramatta are not done yet, although they do have to play Melbourne, South, and Penrith again within this run home.
Yeah.
Mitchell Moses will be back for the Storm and the Panthers clashes. And
Yeah.
that'll be big
Yeah.
for them. So I don't think Parramatta's top 4 ambition is done yet.
No.
Not by a long shot.
No.
But they do need to get back on track with the way the Roosters and Manly have both been going at the moment.
Yeah, and how South will go as well, that will play a big part too.
It definitely will. But 2 points of difference. That's all it was.
Yeah.
And even it took the last tackle of the match, that try save from Jordan Rapana that I alluded to.
Yeah, well,
to the outcome.
They took it up to the bunker to see if it was like
a penalty,
but it wasn't.
No,
he used his hip. How's that a penalty?
Yeah.
It would have been.
Oh well, they always say contact with the head, and then it's indisputable.
It wasn't even with the head; it was the shoulder.
Well, they were arguing shoulder charge.
But how can it be a shoulder charge when Rapana was using his fucking hip?
Well, how can you say Billy Slater played in the 2018 Grand Final through a blatant shoulder charge? Riddle me that.
Yeah, true.
Riddle me that.
True.
How did he get off from a blatant shoulder charge?
Well, yeah, true. Times have changed. Times have slightly changed since then.
Slightly.
But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Now we will get back on the talking about the Roosters, and they were really given a bit of a scare by Newcastle early on.
What for? 20 minutes?
Well,
when
you're leading 8-6, and the Roosters are already down 1 or 2 men at this point, you're probably feeling a little bit confident.
Yeah, but the Roosters only led by 2 at half time, in 10 points to 8, and that's where it pretty much ended for me.
I think you can point that down really to Joseph I think really the first try of the game.
For Tupanua.
For the Roosters, yeah.
Yeah.
At the moment after that first half an hour, the Roosters then stepped up.
Like they always do.
And the injury crisis they've had, we've talked about the injury crisis extensively at length, and you probably know half of the names we've already said by now, so you won't go there, but the way the Roosters roared into life, especially the second half,
yeah,
that combination between Victor Radley and the captain, James Tedesco, that was literally, that was just next level.
That's going to get stronger as the rest of the season goes on.
Just that ball running lock forward with the silky hands and your fullback coming through the line, picking Newcastle apart. And they call them short for numbers down both sides.
They did.
Right edge more than the left.
Yeah.
For Newcastle, and that's embarrassing. And speaking of Tedesco, 229 running meters, 4 try assists, 2 line breaks, 7 tackle breaks, and because someone made the decision that he was going to be goal kicking instead of Sam Walker, which you should never give Tedesco the kicking boots.
No.
2 from 5 goals converted.
Yeah, because Sam Walker missed his one and only attempt at a match, which was the last kick of the match. But why?
The man can't kick.
I couldn't figure out why they gave to Tedesco, not Walker. Like, Walker was on the field for the whole game, and
I don't know.
He couldn't have been having a...
I simply don't know.
Well, I thought at the time he might have had a bit of a niggle of an injury, but then he kicked added shot at the goal at the end of the match, so...
That definitely needs to be looked at there. Well, it definitely does.
But the 2 goals that Tedesco did get, some of them were, I think the one when he converted Tupanua's second try, that pretty much went almost nearly missed again, but yeah. No, but the Roosters just went too well in the second half, and the Knights couldn't keep up with them.
The Knights were put on blast, you'd have to say. Adam O'Brien would have had to have put them on blast after that display that they put on up against the Roosters. To be up 8-6 and then to lose it in the second half, that's just...
You get
is that even professional?
You get 20 points put on them.
Is that even professional?
No. If you're up 8-6 and you're only down by 2 at half time, good clubs will try and grind out a win. Knights certainly did not do that. They just did like a Broncos hibernated and went back into their shell.
Yeah, it seems to be the trend. Put some pressure on, you fold up like a deck of cards.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I don't know what Adam O'Brien does to try and change things.
I don't know. Like, without Pierce being out, who knows?
A lot of pressure on Crossland and on Jake Clifford.
Yeah. Like, because Pierce and Clifford, I think, were starting to build on something, but not quite there yet. But we don't know where Pierce is going to be next year, so we don't know what's going to happen in the halves next year.
There's just so much rumour going around about Mitchell Pearce at the moment, isn't there? I mean, you hear he's been linked to the Sharks, he's been linked to the Roosters, he's been linked to the Tigers, he's been linked to the Dogs.
Well, like I said before, anyone's linked to the Dogs. Or the Broncos. But he hasn't been linked to the Broncos as of yet.
I wouldn't think they got the money for him.
Well, not with
even
Adam
the reduced
Reynolds
salary.
there. Even with Adam Reynolds there, they wouldn't anyway.
No, I wouldn't put Mitchell Pearce in the halves with Adam Reynolds.
No, because they're both halfbacks. So someone had to sacrifice and play 5/8.
No, I mean, I just wouldn't play Mitchell Pearce at the Broncos with Adam Reynolds. Period.
Yeah.
Because Pearce has played 5'8" in the past, but I just think not the right foil for Reynolds.
No. No way.
So there is that. And the fact that, unfortunately, the Roosters are now suffering an extended injury crisis, with Billy Smith having done his ankle, ruled out for the rest of the season. The poor kid.
He can't catch a break.
Well, he's got job security because of that 2-year contract extension.
Yes.
And he will probably get a first crack should Josh Morris retire at the end of this year.
Yeah. And then
Matty Cavallo's out long term as well.
And then hopefully Billy Smith can get a couple years of injury free, of being injury free.
You'd have to think for him the worst is over after ACL, shoulder reconstruction, and now this ankle surgery. You bet after 3 straight serious injuries, it's finally over for him.
You'd hope so.
And season ending.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Okay, well, only time will tell with that one. Now, a Friday night blockbuster. The Melbourne Storm getting up over the top of the North Queensland Cowboys, 20 points to 16.
It was a blockbuster, alright, was it not?
Oh, it was
the Cowboys were absolutely giving it to Melbourne. They were only down by 4 at half time, the Cowboys.
Alright, the 2 tries in certain passages of play for Melbourne and for the Cowboys that got called back for obstruction. Should they have been called back for obstruction?
I don't know. A bit 50-50 on those. Some of those obstruction calls are very hard to tell sometimes, like from what we see on the coverage and what the bunkers see. Because obviously the bunker have got more camera angles.
They got all the angles.
And compared to what we see on the TV screens, yeah, I kind of would have liked to see more angles available to see.
Well, we're going to mention Gus Gould again. I mean, I already did. It sort of give him a bit of a half spray because of the World Cup withdrawal of Australia and New Zealand. But I agree with him on this issue, that the bunker just wants something to have a say in the game when, I mean, they get called in and then they just earn a game, or they're probably the biggest detriment to the NRL right now.
There's some things that they make a call on that they shouldn't make a call on, or like
There's
go against it.
On this issue, I do agree with Gus. The bunker's wanting to get into the game as a second referee. That's all the bunker is most of the time. It just wants to get involved.
Not what it's supposed to be doing.
No, certainly not.
Beyond what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's operating beyond its scope.
And it's starting to
I would also agree with him on blowing up the bunker. Just blow up the bunker, one referee, couple of in-goal touch judges, and see if the ball's gone dead. Just, like the old days before or video referee technology, and let the game go.
I agree. Keep that. Didn't they trial 2 in-goal touches in pre-season a couple of years ago?
I'm not sure.
I think they did. I think it might have been... Or was it during the regular season match a couple of years ago?
I don't think they would have tried all it in, but
I think it was...
If the NRL's serious about getting down on operational costs, get rid of the bunker and you'll save millions.
Yeah. Or even just go back to basic video refereeing.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Back to basics.
Well, how is this? I sort of slammed Gus because as we have both differing views on the Rugby League World Cup and Australia and New Zealand's involvement in it. And then here I am agreeing with Gus, but that's Rugby League commentary for you, that you can disagree on some issues,
but then
and then
on others.
when it comes to others, you're walking the same line, or you have the same general view of it. I mean, we hate the bunker when we think it's ruined a game in one way or the other. That's
Not just us, everyone.
Overreach. It is overreach of the officiating that does not give confidence to a referee trying to officiate the game on his own.
Yeah. Even the most experienced ones like Gerard Sutton and the likes.
But getting back onto this, oh God, where are the Cowboys coming from with this?
I don't know, they found something pretty much right as the halftime siren went when Cohen has scored.
How did he manage to get that ball down?
I honestly don't know.
How did he get that ball down?
Skill. Absolute skill.
I mean, Adokar scores 3 minutes in, and we think, oh yeah, this is just going to be another Melbourne whitewash.
That's exactly what I thought.
But then, the Cowboys just don't go away.
No, and like I said, for basically, when Cohen has scored right through to
right on half time.
Right on half time to right to the end of the match.
And
the Cowboys were giving it to them.
And they have the lead. And again, Tamalolo was off the field for a good portion of the second half. That is just unbelievable. It's crazy.
What's even more crazy is another debutant scored on debut.
Oh, Kane Bradley. Wasn't he denied? Oh, yeah, that's right. He was the one who scored that. Got the pull back because of the obstruction.
Yeah.
First time round. Then he got
scored on the 74th minute.
His Chockies the second time round. This time.
Yeah. But, so, another debut, another try on debut. But
what can you say about the Melbourne Storm? That
we had Adokar score a double.
And he scored his 100th try on that second try.
Yes, he did. After, I think one of his ones got denied.
No, I think it was Nelson that got pulled back, I think Big Nelson
crashes. I know Adokar got try 99 early on, but I'm pretty sure Adokar's one of his attempts got denied for some reason. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I thought it might.
I don't think it was. Was the Fox?
Well, anyway, I could be wrong.
But this was a real arm wrestle.
Yeah,
a genuine arm wrestle. And
if the Cowboys won, it would have been a massive upset. No one would have expected. Well, no one would have expected Cowboys to be running with the Storm all match.
No, you honestly wouldn't expect North Queensland to stand toe-to-toe with the Storm and almost pull off the upset of the year.
Possession, 50-50. Completion rate, 85% to 76% for the Storm.
Yeah, Craig Bellamy's not going to be happy about that. And I think even he would be thinking, we should not be winning by 4 against teams below us on the ladder or outside the top 8.
And what I mean, yeah.
These are games we should be playing against, like your Eels, your Panthers, your Rabbitohs, and your Roosters. These are the sorts of games you should be winning.
Yeah.
Not like those ones. I mean, win's a win. You've got to win ugly somehow, but you can't be doing it like that.
And every now and again. But with the possession at 50-50, they both exactly had the same amount of time as possession, which is 27 minutes 15 each. That's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. And I mean, Josh Adokar's performance, of course, that double, getting him to 100 tries, 1 try assist for Justin Olam, 150 running metres, 3 line breaks and 1 tackle break. So a good night at the office for the Fox, and hope he does that in blue and white coming up.
Yes. The rate he's been going, it will definitely be good for them.
Now, the Rabbitohs up on the Sunshine Coast facing the Warriors for the second time in 3 years, and absolute blitzed them 60 points to 22.
Yeah, it was a bit of a blowout score. But the
Rabbitohs, I mean, first of all, you got the Warriors pouncing upon a loose ball. No one within Cooee that touched Dallin Wateni's Lesniak.
No.
No one in Cooee.
Good way to open your account against the top 8 side. Top 4 side.
Top 4. They're running third at the moment.
Yeah. And then the Rabbitohs put the foot down, and the Warriors got 2 back-to-back tries in quick succession.
But 2 of the tries they scored in the 11 that they did, it was basically in 2 sets, they had marched 200 metres all up. You had a 100 metre long effort the first time round, and this is sort of like part way through the first half. So then you get down there again, force a goal line dropout, and then they scored or another try. Those two sets really cemented the Rabbitohs' forward momentum, and I don't think the Warriors really recovered from all of that.
I don't think they did either.
And Tom Burgess
with a double, Jaden Sewer with a double,
Josh Mansell with a double.
with a double. And Sewer's and Mansell's doubles Sewer scored on 31st and then 41st, and then Mansell scored on 53rd and 56th. So theirs were back to back, and Tom Burgess's was the 8th and 17th minute try.
Just the power, the speed and the power of the Rabbitohs in the middle of the field.
Or even Colin Matungi got a try.
Well, he's bagged a couple of tries already this year.
Yeah, but he scored. So did Cody Walker. Latrell Mitchell got that final try. And then Paulo as well, so...
And looking at Damien Cook, 141 running metres, 3 try assists, 1 tackle break, and 34 tackles. I think he's starting. After having a good Origin series where he actually flourished under the 6 again rules, one has to think this is the moment that he actually finally starts to take charge. And it will help South Sydney get to the grand final.
Well, coming into finals runs, this is really good time to hit form and do what he did against the Warriors for the rest of the season. Adam Reynolds, he got what?
8 from 11, wasn't he?
No, because Latrell Mitchell got the last goal because Adam Reynolds went off the field.
Oh, that's right. He was rested, wasn't he?
That's what I've heard. Rested. That's what I said during the commentary. They said they were resting him. Well, he came off. I think Adam Reynolds came off with 20 minutes to go to rest him, which is a very long time.
Well, I think we know Wayne Bennett won't make decisions like that unless he's got a reason or thinking the bigger picture. And I think he made the point that he wants the Rabbitohs to fly underneath the radar, let Melbourne and let Penrith take all the headlines, and because he knows there'll be a lot of energy taken out if the Rabbitohs win the minor premiership and fail to get through to the grand final. Yeah. He's gearing his players up.
Yeah.
Getting ready. If they finish 3rd or 4th, he's gearing them up for a grand final run. This is exactly what he's doing. This is probably the best opportunity South Sydney have to break their preliminary finals duck that they have experienced in 7 years.
Yeah. And Wayne knows what he's doing. He's done it time and time again.
He was there with the Raiders in 1987 when they broke through for their first grand final. Of course, he's done it 7 times for the Broncos over the course of practically 30 years. He was in 2 stints.
Yeah.
And he did it with St George Illawarra in 2010. He knows what he's doing.
Yep, and he won the minor premiership with the Dragons in 2009 as well, but failed to make the grand final.
Yeah, you lost to Parramatta, but...
Yeah.
Other than that, which is embarrassing.
Yes, but anyway, he won.
But then again, Jared Hayne was on form in 2009.
Yeah. And then he did...
Long way he's fallen now.
Yep.
Now...
Overall good win.
Oh, it definitely was a good win for the Bunnies. I think it and this gets interesting when we look at round 20. But before that, we still got about 5 matches left in round 19 to cover, and we start that with Manly down in the Tigers, 44-24.
Yeah, been 20-12 in favour of Manly half time. The Tigers were still in it at half time, but then Manly were like, "Goodbye. You're going to bed."
The left edge, especially with Josh Schuster, and that combination with Kieran Foran, that was sort of the catalyst for it to get started.
Yeah.
Once Manly's left edge got firing, it was basically good night, Irene.
Pretty much. Well, Morgan Harper bagged a hat trick. Jerry Evans got a double.
Is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes.
The try line.
Yeah, I don't know why I had to do it, but I felt like we had to give reason and purpose to the fact that we had made this joke at the up at the hour, so we had to finish through with it. And I just thought, screw it, why not? Let's do it.
Add some heat to it as well.
Yeah,
but yes.
Blame Fox League for that because they are doing their themed round, the 90s retro round, and they think
for this upcoming weekend, not last weekend.
This weekend, and they think that Morgan Harper resembles Lionel Richie a fair bit.
Well, off air, I showed Connor And well, I looked at
Before we started, really.
Well, yeah, before we started, I showed kind of a picture of Morgan Harper and then a picture of Lionel Richie.
They have the same picture.
And pretty much. So that's what I got it from. But yeah, no, he had a blitz of a game, Harper. Having a triple, hat trick, whatever you want to call it.
Hat trick.
Tom Tavorovic definitely had a play of getting a try. He had to score.
And then, of course, Daly Cherry Evans.
Yeah,
two try assists, 200 running meters, 7 tackle breaks, and a goal line dropout. Luke Brooks, I think we have said it countless times that he will not be starting at halfback for the Tigers next year. It will be Adam Dewey and Jackson Hastings.
Yeah.
That will be in the Michael Maguire's go-to halfback.
Everyone, instead of writing that down in pencil, if you're predicting your team list next year, write that half combination down in pen right now.
I'd carve it in stone.
Okay, even better.
I carve it in stone right there at Balmain, at Leichhardt Oval. I would carve in stone that Adam Dewey would partner Jackson Hastings come round 1 2022.
Yeah. Done. Do that. Who had a good game? Marlon got a double. His first double since joining the Tigers, I believe.
I think so, because I think he scored.
He has scored
against
before.
The Melbourne Storm, didn't he? In that 66-16 rort?
Yes. But he hasn't scored a double, so he's got a double little. He had a good game for coming out of dummy half. And then you had Adam Dewey score as well, so. And then getting all 4 goals. It was that middle part of the game.
That middle third where Manly just.
Where Manly really
put the foot down and the Tigers just didn't recover from that.
Yeah. Well, Manly scored. Well, they scored on the 5th minute, and there was a bit of a gap to the 2nd. And then this.
During that time, the Tigers scored 1 try.
Yeah. And then Manly's 3rd and 4th try came in quick succession. And then the 5th and 6th came close together. And then the 7th and 8th came close together. So when they scored, they came in 2 doses, you could say.
Quick fire back to back.
Pretty much. Unlike the Tigers, where it was spread out.
And defensively, the Tigers were just exposed. Both sides of the field.
Yeah.
Nothing they could do about it.
No. But the funny thing is, the Tigers had more time in possession and more...
Doesn't matter if you have more time in possession. It's what you do in that possession. And
Yeah.
I think Manly have clearly demonstrated they used their possession much more wisely.
Yeah.
And got more results out of it.
Yeah. It's written in front of us in black and white that Manly had less possession, but had the better result overall.
Yeah.
Where to now for Tigers? Who knows?
Well, rebuild. Well, they need to persist with Michael Maguire. Because it's not necessarily his fault the Tigers are going badly.
Well, it's also the board to an extent too with the recruitment as well.
Well, the farcical recruitment that basically trade offer to the Canberra Raiders. We receive Jack Whiten and Josh Hodgson. You get Moses Mbai and Luke Brooks.
Yeah, nah.
Don Ferner, Ricky Stewart, and Peter Mulholland. And I'm pretty sure I talked about this last week.
Yeah.
But they'd be laughing their heads off. Like J. Jonah Jameson styles, like... You serious? Get out of here.
Pretty much.
It'd honestly be like that. That is a literal meme right there. Just insert J. Jonah Ferner in there with, say, Peter Maguire Parker. And then it's just like, get out of here.
Yep. That's all it was.
It's not really, like I said, not Madge's fault. It's the Tigers, really.
Well, even overtime before Madge got there. When they lost Tedesco, they lost Moses, they lost Woods.
And
Marshall.
Marshall, Adokar, Fafita,
twice.
Murdoch Masilla.
Corey Thompson.
Thompson.
He's left.
Ryan Pappenhausen. Oof. That's
That one
spicy
got away. That one really got away.
Well, that's really a discussion for another day.
Yes.
Meantime, talking of Western Sydney teams and big cats, the Panthers scraping home against the Broncos 18-12.
Yeah. Yep. The only points from Penrith in the first half was a penalty goal from Steve Grant and a 2-point field goal from Dylan Edwards.
That was bizarre the way that first half ended.
Yeah, it was 0-0. Well, 2-0 for a very, very long time. And then out of nowhere, Dylan Edwards was a bit of a surprise to see him kick a field goal, let alone a 2-point field goal.
Adam Reynolds has probably been the only other the only other man, and Nathan
Cleary and Reynolds.
So it's elite companies in at
Only
the moment.
The third person to kick a 2-point field goal since the rules come back in. And that was right on half time.
Getting back to Penrith, and this will probably sound a lot surprising, yet it'll also sound pretty accurate. Penrith were terrible.
No, Cleary. Again, they're shown without Cleary there, they struggle.
But they were, this was a game that they were expected to put more than 30 on the Broncos.
They were lucky at 20.
And
they were too short.
And they didn't even get to that.
No.
And look, they still pulled off some good play, but not just without Cleary, but they lost Isaiah Yeo, they lost their link man in the middle field. It just did look blunt.
Yeah.
Without their co-captains, they honestly looked blunt in attack.
Yep.
And the fact that the Broncos almost they were literally tied for a time. Well, they weren't. But the fact that the Broncos could have upset them at any moment.
That would have been absolutely massive.
The team in second last beating the team outright second.
That one was not going down too well in the dressing sets with Ivan Cleary at all.
No, I don't think it would have. It honestly wouldn't.
Broncos fans would have been absolutely cheering.
They would have been getting in there. They would have been trying to ride their team home as much as they could. But they were probably lucky.
Well, it was at Suncorp Stadium, so...
Well, that.
Majority
but Penrith were absolutely lucky that they escaped.
Just. Do you reckon that 2-point field goal changed the game?
I would have thought, or just trying to get the first try on the board would have changed the game. But
yeah, well, 44 minutes before Penrith scored a try.
Well, that's just like
how often did that happen?
The Eels-Raiders game where it took the same amount of time for Jordan Rapana and Dylan Brown to score first up. So
yeah, but for Penrith, like last in round 18, I think they scored in the first minute via kick out.
Yeah, off the charge down, yeah.
And then round 19 took them 44 minutes to score.
Where does that put Penrith at the moment? With no Cleary, with no Isaiah Yeo, probably for maybe a week or two, because he's going to get... I mean, he would have failed his HIA, and then probably HIA protocols would have to come in, and he wouldn't probably be 100% fit. I mean, we don't know for sure.
They'll probably rest him to be extra safe anyway.
So
but if Penrith put another performance like that again this week against Melbourne, and South come out and dominate again, Penrith are well in danger of falling to third, depending on the for and against differential.
I think their for and against is still better than the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, but it'll be
competition points that'll have Ivan Cleary concerned.
Because Rabbitohs are only a win behind both Melbourne and Penrith. If Penrith go on and put on a performance like they did and lose to Melbourne and South capitalise, then it really brings South into the equation even more. That's if Penrith lose to Melbourne.
Now, meantime, the St. George Illawarra Dragons going down to the Gold Coast Titans 32-10.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was going to happen.
What? But just what was that?
Well, put it this way. I was kind of expecting to fight for the Titans and be like a close match, but not to lose like that.
But to lose like that. The moment David Fafita came on.
And also in the do-or-die match, Dragons are still 8th. Just.
I mean, you take 18 minutes to score, or some silky hands from Jack DeBell to Ben Hunt, who generously donated another $5,000 to the Men of League Foundation for the Mossy Massoy appeal.
Yep.
But the moment David Fafita comes on, it is over.
Yeah.
It genuinely is.
Yeah.
Because the moment he comes on, after locking it up at 6-all, the moment he comes onto that field, he turns the game completely on its head. First, he sees off 4 defenders, wasn't it? Playing human pinball with them.
Yeah, pretty much.
To score the first try. And then he goes on another big run, and Greg Marshall gets set up in the right-hand corner.
Yep. For me, a standout.
And then Jared Wallace. And then from there, Jared Wallace bags a double.
Yeah, on the 12th minute, then the 60th minute.
Bloody unbelievable offload for young Toby Sexton.
On debut. Again, on debut. And scored and kicked 6 from 6.
So a good day.
He had an absolute ripper of a game for his debut.
That was a debut he's going to remember for the rest of his career. If nothing else, that was a special day for him and his family.
And he played a massive part in a massive influence in Titans win. Just how he was organising and how he utilises the tackle 5s or even tackle 4s. I think he kicked early on occasion, but he had an absolute ripper of a game. He was my standout player. I don't know about you though.
I'm looking at David Fafita. I mean, many people think he needs to be in the game 100%, but I mean, the numbers don't lie. Or he did, even off the bench, 1 try assist, 160 running meters, 13 tackle breaks, and 5 offloads.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Ash Taylor with the $1 million prize tag, but so far Fafita's actually
living up to that.
Well, I mean, statistically speaking, he is amongst the best forwards in the game at the moment, with rate of tries, tackle breaks, and offloads.
That's true.
But I think there is that scrutiny because he's expected to win every game for the Gold Coast. But
yeah, well, that hasn't
they
happened.
need someone to really step up and organise
and help him in support as well.
Which is why, I mean, you can't judge Toby Sexton off one game, but then again, you couldn't judge Jamal Fogarty off part of half a season at the Titans. But now in his first full season, he's looking the goods. So maybe
he's got the captaincy.
Sexton, Fogarty moving forward if they don't keep Ash Taylor and Tyrone Peachy.
Yeah. No, but it was a good win for the Titans, but not so good for the Dragons.
Well, with the
and Dragons pretty much all but full strength. We only had, I think, Corey Norman serve his 1-game suspension out, and
Matt Duffy. No, wait, Duffy was there.
Duffy played.
Yes, he did. And Matt Figay was in there.
Because it's going to be all hands on deck for that match because it was a must win.
And it did not turn out that way whatsoever.
No.
Which was pretty embarrassing.
Yes.
If you tipped the Dragons to win.
Yes.
Hey, I tipped them as well, so...
Yes, I know. But it's finally, the team I support, so come on.
Yeah. And speaking of teams that we support, the Canterbury Bulldogs, despite showing fights once again, just getting outclassed by the Cronulla Sharks, 44-24.
Yeah, the Dogs put up a really good fight. They were down by 30 points to 6 at half time.
Including the fact that Luke Thompson was off the field for 10 minutes because of that late shot of Blake Brayley.
In 24th minute, yes. But the Dogs somehow... I think they came back to nearly levelling, if 30 not just
at one stage. Front. It was 30-24 the way Canterbury fought back.
Yes, and I thought, oh, hello, this is going to be.
We're showing heart. We're showing fight, and Thompson in the second half tried to make up for it. Of course, he scored in the first half, and there was absolutely good hands. But then that footwork, man, the footwork for the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And the setup, I believe it was Bailey beyond the. No, Jake Averillo, I think it was.
Averillo scored, yes.
It's just that's why we brought him to the club from St. Helens. That is why, man.
Yeah, and it's taken him how long to do that? He's learning.
Well, I mean, he's bagged another try. I think that's like his 4th or 5th of the year, so he's doing all right.
Yeah, he's still kind of...
And he's practically one of our best performing forwards week in, week out, so that unfortunately lose him for the next 3 weeks, that's a bit of a blow.
Yes, it is, but hopefully those 3 weeks go quick for the Dogs, so they can get you back
Gold
on deck
Coast,
soon.
West Tigers, and I believe the Newcastle Knights round
So
22.
they could be winnable games, but if he
No,
was
wait,
there,
no, hang on, not the Knights.
no,
I
it's a
think
top
they're
8 team.
no, not Manly. Wait a minute. I can get this. I can basically name the 6 games in the run home because I know it's Titans, Tigers, and the back couple of games it's the Knights, Manly, and the Tigers again. So we play the Tigers twice, and I know we play Manly, Newcastle. Oh, that's right, the Warriors. We've got to play the Warriors.
Yeah. So
There's still time, but trying to chase down the Broncos will be our main goal.
yeah, and they have got winnable games against the next 3, if possible.
If that's a very big if, considering where the Titans are at and where the Tigers are trying to get.
And I think this is the second week running the Dogs have got 24 points. Or they've got 24 points not that so long ago. But I don't think the Dogs have gone beyond 24 points in a match this year. I think 24 is the highest they've ever gotten.
28.
That's right.
There's your highest.
Yes.
And you would know full well, because you saw most of them scored against St George Illawarra. But
yeah.
Oh look, but the Sharks, they punished us properly. So 12 men on the field, they capitalised, but breached our eyes in it. Even though but they've lost Sean Johnson out of that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Lower leg injury, ruled out for the next 2 months. But CSC for Talakai. He made headlines for a notorious big hit that many thought was dangerous and high, but his numbers from that game: 1 try, 214 running meters, 8 tackle breaks, and 1 offload.
That's good.
Are the Sharks even missing Wayne Graham yet?
No. I don't think you'll see Wade Graham back for the season.
Well, we don't know that. I mean, he could still be back. I mean, 2 weeks quarantine to try and get to Sydney into the NRL bubble up in Queensland, and then.
But that's just my view, though. I still reckon he's going to be the next one to medically retire because of too many head knocks.
Well, we don't know that yet. I mean, we do know about the head knocks, but we don't know if
yes, but
he's in the same position that Boyd Cordner's in.
Yeah, but that's just like my view. I've said that a while ago.
Well, let the concussion experts handle it.
Yes.
Which is anyone but the Roosters, or someone else besides the Roosters, because they're the experts in concussion at the moment.
Bit harsh, but okay.
Hey, it's the truth.
Yeah, true.
Sometimes the truth can be harsh.
Yeah, that's a very good statement indeed.
Right, now that we got all of round 19 out of the way, we move on to round 20, starting off at the BB Prince Stadium in Mackay.
Yes.
We have the Sydney Roosters up against the Parramatta Eels. Now, a couple of changes for Brad Arthur's side. Marata Niokore has been ruled out of the game through injury, and Will Penasini drops out of the side as Tom Opacek comes in, back at the centre, enters, and I believe the bench unchanged. Maybe apart from Will... No, I actually think... Yeah, unchanged from that last start loss to the Raiders, really.
And for the Roosters, Josh Morris is back in place of Billy Smith. Marnie shifts to the wing to replace Matt Ikavalu, with Adam Kieran coming in at centre, and Takiano has been named to return via the interchange bench, with Fletcher Baker making way in otherwise unchanged lineup.
Now I'm very conflicted about this game. Right now, I'm going to say that straight up.
We'll put it this way. Before we say that, all the top 8 teams play each other.
Yes, they do.
So it's going to be bloody hard to tip.
Because on one hand, I see Parramatta, bloody good forward pack, but not having Mitchell Moses is a blow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I see the Roosters, heavily disjointed backline, but they still tore the Knights to shreds.
But the Knights are a weaker side compared to Parramatta. You have to put that into play as well.
That is context. There's a bit of context there. So, I don't know. I really don't know. Because on one hand, I see Well, Micah Sivo's back in the side. Oh, he was back last week. But you look at Parramatta's left edge, Blake, Sivo, Papali'i will be marking up on Kieran, Manu, and Tupanua. That's going to be a battle down that channel there, because I think Brad Arthur's already got it in his head that Joseph Manu hasn't really defended as a winger, and Adam Kieran's not really a centre. He's more or of a half. So they're going to be thinking there's going to be a weakness that can be exploited if we go left.
Yes.
And the Roosters, meanwhile, thinking Parramatta's probably got one of the best forward packs in the league, so we got to make sure Radley, Waria Hargraves, Liu, and Taukei'aho can match it with Brown, Nathan Brown, that is, not Dylan Brown.
Yeah.
But with Nathan Brown, Campbell Gillard, Paulo, and Papali'i. We got to make sure we stand up through the middle, and we're going to use Tedesco to try and make the Eels open through the middle. When we can, just like the Knights. Get Bradley early ball. Tedesco comes back on the inside, comes up on the inside, quick hands. Tedesco breaks through, and then he's got to support alt runner, whether it's a Morris or a Tupou or at this stage, Kieran Manu or even Sam Walker backing up through the middle. That's where parts of the game plan are going to be played.
Even though, like you said, Adam Kieran isn't a centre, he's another half out in the field for the whole match alongside Hutchinson, Walker. Manu's played a bit of halves, but he's not a proper half. And you've got Lachlan Land coming off the bench. So when Lachlan Land comes in the half, you technically got 4 halves out in the field.
But it's I still think it's going to thinking about it and looking at the Roosters' disjointed backline. I mean, we know the Roosters are professional. They'll play whatever conditions, and they probably had to train that.
Yeah.
I was thinking one way going into this of what might actually be the case, but now I'm starting to rethink. I think the Eels are going to come away 1-12 here in Mackay. I just think they'll know that they'll have to contain Tedesco, but I think the forwards will dominate through the middle, and I think they'll make Jake Arthur's job easier, and I think he'll stand up a bit more after a close loss to the Raiders. I think there'll be a lot of motivation to take out of this.
I'd say the only thing that will work in the Roosters' favour is no Moses for the Parramatta Eels. So that's why I'm going with the Roosters to win by 6.
Right, moving on to the Friday night games back in Brisbane. We have the West Tigers playing the New Zealand Warriors, or should we call them the Brisbane Lions now? Oh, the Brisbane Warriors now.
Who knows? Call them the Australian Warriors.
Mass changes.
East Coast Warriors.
East Coast Warriors. Okay, that actually has a good ring to it.
Because they played on the Central Coast. They've played at Tamworth. When they first came over last year,
they've been in Brisbane.
Brisbane. So East Coast Warriors. That does actually have a good ring to it.
Yeah, it does.
I'm onto something, folks.
So anyway, there have been mass changes for the Warriors. No Adam Fanua-Blake because of a leg injury. Jack Townsend out. Matt Lodge is out. Leeson Armour, I believe, has been suspended for this game, as well as Jack Murchie being ruled out. And there's no Roger Tuivasa-Sheck either, who has left the Warriors bubble to return home to New Zealand and take up his contract with the Auckland Blues. So Peter Hiku is in at 5'8" for the captain. Sean O'Sullivan starts at halfback in place of Tuivasa-Sheck. Ben Murdoch-Masila forms a whole new front row with Jermaine Tanoa-Brown recalled from St. George Illawarra alongside Taniela Otukolo and Tanoa-Brown and Otukolo, and then Kane Evans is in after copping that $5,000 suspension, with Jazz Dabunga swapping places with Josh Curran and Cody Nikarima dropping back to the bench. I think I've covered all of that.
With Armel, he's not suspended. He's been granted to release to return
to
New Zealand before the government pauses its travel.
On the New Zealand citizens. Yeah. I forgot about that part. So compassionate reasons, contract was torn up.
I don't know if his contract's
it said release, so I would have meant
granted a release from the bubble to go back to.
Well, he's off contract at the end of the year anyway, so probably the same thing.
For the Tigers, Sean Bloor is taking over from Luke Garner, which I think is on the bench.
No,
in the starting side. Sorry. Tom McGailey is out, so he is replaced by Joe Offahan Gowie, who has been promoted from the bench to start. Mbai goes from the bench to the starting side, taking Junior Porga's place in the centres with Alex Seyfarth out. There are new faces on the bench with Tom Amone, Michael Cheekham, and Alex Twal. And they should be the only changes.
I gotta feel sorry for the Warriors.
Injury. I think they
just,
had how many players on the bench last week?
They only had one. Against Penrith, they had one.
Yeah, but even the week they just had before against.
Oh, it just bounced it up again.
Yeah, I think they had one again.
That's one of the places where you want the loan system to work effectively.
Yeah, but the NRL don't want to do that, don't they?
Or not do it fast enough.
Well, that too. Probably that option. But having Nigel Sheck there, because he's finished up his NRL career early. That's a
big blow.
That's a big blow. You don't want your captain doing that this late in the season. You might as well see out your contract.
Yep. Not to mention one of their best players.
Yeah. The Warriors are still within a fight of making the finals.
But that just went uphill real fast.
Yes, it did. But there still were in the chance. But now two of us Sheck's gone. Yeah, don't see that happening. They were very outside chance of making the finals, but yeah.
At the same time, the Tigers don't look like they can put on a good enough defensive display to try and overcome better position sides. I mean, that last performance against Manly did not go well at all.
No, but they did. Well, they put 24. Well, they got 24 points on the board, so they only lost by 20 instead of a lot more.
Tigers' right side defensively. I think it was the left side defensively because I got confused between them and Manly earlier in the year when the Tigers were getting towed up big time. I'm very confident it's their left edge that it is.
You sure you've had 20 weeks to try and figure this out?
Well, this is the first time I've mentioned it since earlier in the year.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a very rookie spine that the Warriors are running with. You got Peter Hiku playing at 5'8". He's usually a centre.
Yeah.
Sean O'Sullivan's not your first choice halfback, nor is Aniela Otukolo your first choice dummy half. But because you got no Wade Egan and you got Tavanga and Cody Nikarima coming off the bench, probably for that reason, either middle forward and a dummy half.
So Dathan Brown kind of has made it play smart with Tavanga can play hooker,
front rower and at lock, sort of like the cheese.
Yeah, and then Nikarima can play in the halves. So he's kind of smart there by having them two on the bench to jump in at kind of any time if he begins the team starting to struggle. And then that might be the difference. Who knows?
I gotta go with but the Warriors. The injury toll concerns me the most.
But I've only named 20 players, not 21.
Yeah,
that's how short they are.
Yeah. Something's going to give it this Warriors side. And it'll just be too much. So I'm going to go with the Tigers 1-12.
Yeah. So with the Warriors only naming 20 players, if Armel didn't get permission to go back over to New Zealand, and even two of us checking up leaving early, then they would have been able to name a 21-man squad, but because they can't, because of them two, and I'm on injuries and that hurts them. I mean, the Tigers may win, so could the Warriors, because the Warriors can put in a fight when they want to. And I reckon this is a game where they'll fight to absolute death. Warriors by 10.
All right. Okay. Now, the Queensland Derby, the Brisbane Broncos and the North Queensland Cowboys as part of your first doubleheader for this week. I think only one change for the Cowboys, and that's Ben Hampton comes in off the bench. I believe it's... I think
he goes to the reserves.
Dejana. Back to the reserves, I think, indeed. Only change for North Queensland.
Yep. And for the Broncos, there's not many changes either. Palacia moves into the starting side, and TC Rabati returned to the bench, and Danny Levi's been recalled onto his bench for his fifth game as a Brisbane playoffs have been there since April. So not many changes for both sides, which is pretty good.
But in two different positions. I mean, the Broncos almost upset
Penrith.
and the Cowboys stuck it to the Melbourne Storm. But I think the Cowboys aren't going to back up after this game. I think
You don't think they will?
I think Taumalolo, it'll come back down to domination of the middle, and I think Payne Haas will lead that charge with Kobe Hetherington and there. And I think Tony Staggs will play a huge burden on the Cowboys' left side defensively.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these two sides, and I know the Broncos haven't been crash hot all year, but last 2 weeks I've seen the Broncos become very competitive.
Well, like you said, they almost upset Penrith.
And for a good while they were up against the Tigers.
Yes.
But a Friday night at Suncorp Stadium against the old rivals, also in the north.
And the Cowboys still got no.
And they'll be looking.
Homes.
Jake Granville's still playing fullback, so I would think Kevin Walters has told Gamble and Croft, you're going to bomb the hell out of Jake Granville. You're going to make him work under the high ball.
Yeah.
Or try and get results out of it.
I mean, Jake Granville's not doing a bad job at fullback.
But he's not your first choice.
Well, no, obviously. But yeah. I'm going to say Brisbane by 12.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Broncos will come away 1-12. I think Haas leads the charge. You get Staggs and Corey Oates running off the back of that.
Yeah.
The Broncos dominate the field position, hopefully, because we know we've tipped the Broncos in the past and it's often ended belly up.
Yeah, so the first 3 rounds, we all think the first 3 games we think are going to be very tight indeed.
Now, from Brown Park in Rockhampton, it's the St George Illawarra Dragons hosting the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and for the Bunnies, there has been a raft of ins for them. Campbell Graham is back into the side, which pushes, I believe, Tane Milne out, and Blake Taff has been added to the bench. Liam Knight also returns from HIA, so Braden Burns also drops out in the only changes Wade Bennett has made.
For the Dragons, there have been more mass changes this week.
Ultimately enforced.
Yeah. So Tyrell Sloan has been named a fullback with Dufty dropping to the reserves. That's probably due to a performance thing. Cora Norman is back, but this time is in the centres, with Jaden Sullivan keeping the 5'8" position there. DeBellin, Bird, and Laurie are serving their 1 week suspensions this week. So Farmer Silly, Billy Burns, and Phil Mayana are the new players in the starting side. Jermaine Turner-Brown has returned to the Warriors, and Maguire's been left out. Jaden Hunt and Ford.
Didn't Josh Maguire also have a game to serve, or did he already serve it?
He's already served it.
Right.
Jaden Hunt and Jackson Ford are onto the bench. Ramsey's out with a injury, and his spot is taken by
Junior Amone.
Yes. So, a few changes. 3 of those because of suspension, and one of them is going back to his parent club. One's out of position because of suspension, like Corey Norman's going to the centres, and Dufty's been dropped because of, I presume, performance.
If Corey Norman's playing in the centres, I just want to ask, would you think he plays on the left-hand side of the field? Left side defensively?
Well, he's been named in jersey 3, but he says they can't change that later in the week.
Because you got to figure it this way. You play him at right centre on the Dragons' right edge defensively. You got to deal with Gagai, you got to deal with Mansour, Walker, and Latrell Mitchell swooping out on those sweep plays. If you put him on the left side defensively, all of a sudden it's Campbell Graham, it's Jackson Paulo, Adam Reynolds, and you got Jaden Stewart to deal with, and you still got that Latrell Mitchell problem.
So it's kind of not a win-win situation there for Corey Norman. Whatever you're going to put in, he's going to be screwed.
He's got problems either side of the field. And of course,
he'll be number 3. He'll be in jersey 3.
And the forward pack for the Bunnies is as much as full strength as you can get, minus Junior Totola.
Yeah.
it's a Rabbitohs 13+ win. The way they have been playing, they'll be eyeing the pressure straight up, but they'll still want to fly under the radar. They'll be like if you imagine Wayne Bennett at the press conference in front of the Fox League cameras, it's like, well, I think we need to. There's something in our game that always needs to be improved upon. I don't think we should be minor enemies. I don't think we're in the position to do that. I think we need to be there at the grand final. I think last couple of seasons we've tried to push ourselves too hard, too fast, and we've ended up 80 minutes away, and we just haven't done it. I just think we'll fly underneath the radar. Let others do the talking.
Very good impersonation of Wayne Bennett.
But that sound like Wayne?
But it's pretty much what he will say. It's spot on what he will say. So I'll congratulate you on that. Yeah. Brennan, I reckon why he's bringing Taff onto the bench, I reckon he's going to rest Mitchell at the back end of the game.
Well, he might do that. Then again, he could rest Reynolds again. Taff is meant to be in the succession plan for Adam Reynolds when he joins the Broncos.
I thought Taff was maybe more of a fullback than anything.
Well, I think they said fullback 5'8", but I think he can also play halfback, so you never know.
Yeah, because when Mitchell was out, Taff was at fullback. So anyway,
they got options.
Yeah, that's why he gave Adam Reynolds rest last week. I'd say he's going to rest Brendan Latrell Mitchell off early this week. That's just my thing.
I think they just got options. That's what.
Final prediction: Rabbitohs to win by 22. I'd say this is the last week, and this week will definitely be the beginning of the end for the Dragons.
Now back to Suncorp Stadium, we have the Newcastle Knights playing hosts to the Canberra Raiders. A couple of changes made for the Raiders. Ryan Sutton is out, so Hudson Young moves the lot forward to accommodate the return of Elliot Whitehead to the side. And Matt Tomoko goes back to the bench with the return. It's bumped back to the bench, and Ryan James and Matt Frawley drop out as Jack Whiten is also back in the side for the Green Machine.
For the Knights, Bradman Best is back, and Dominic Young is out. So Tuwala is onto the wing, yes. To replace Dominic Young. David Clemmer returns.
I think it was HIA.
Yes, he returns via the bench. Meaning Jack Johns is out of the squad altogether, and Pearce has been named an extension bench. So it could be a late inclusion come game day.
I don't get why Dominic Young got dropped. I mean, he's basically been one of their try scorers regularly in the 4 games he has played since that Origin clash against the Bunnies.
So who would you get rid of instead?
I'd get rid of Tuwala. I think you need that big body in the middle of the field, and I think not having him there, it's just going to be to Newcastle's detriment.
Yeah. Look, the halves, especially Crossland, he hasn't really made much of an impact since he's come in, back into the side with Pearce being out. Clifford has stepped up a little bit, but not a lot. So I thought Clifford must need to take a lot more control than what he has. He might do it this week, but who knows? But having Bradman Best back is a big inclusion.
Yeah. I mean, put it this way: with Dom Young, in the 4 games out of the 5 weeks since joining back, he scored 3 tries in that. He's had 2 try assists, 4 and 6 tackle. Well, no, actually 11 tackle breaks. Questionable on defense. I mean, he's all up. He's made 17 tackles and he's missed 6 of them, but he's still been a better performer than most other members in the Knights backline. And I was actually looking forward to a Bradman Best, Dominic Young centre wing pairing.
That would be nice.
I would have thought that would be a gun pairing. And for Adam O'Brien to go ahead and just say, no, Dom, you're out. We think you could got a bit of a problem with your hands in your defence, so we're going to put Anari on the wing and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll last. Especially with Dane Gagai coming next year, though not officially announced by Newcastle, although Wayne Bennett basically did say at the press conference that he's going back to Newcastle.
Yeah, well, even I think Dan Gavo's even told his
Yes, yeah.
teammates
Yeah.
that he's going. So
Yeah, so it's publicly, but the Knights are waiting for the right time
it's
to
just a
make
formulation of the
make the deal
paperwork.
public. Yeah,
It's just with the paperwork side of things.
but it's like Jordan Pereira. The paperwork just needs to be finalised before it's public.
Yep.
Oh look, Newcastle have not been the same side for some time.
Months.
I wouldn't say months. It's not that long.
2 months. Month and a half.
No, you're really thinking of it on the scale of it being really too long.
Well, when's the last time they won?
Last win was round 16 against the Warriors, so they've had a poor few weeks since then.
17, 18, 19. 3 weeks coming into week 4.
But in that time, they have been outscored 76-12.
My point exactly.
Yeah, so it is very, very poor.
Like I said last week, Red Lion through the Knights to the finals, as well as the other teams that we already know of. You probably add the Warriors to our list now too.
Right side defensively will be the Knights' main concern, especially with Jack Whiten and Elliot Whitehead, the co-captain, back in the side. Because now you've got that left edge really looking to make some damage with Croker, with I think Harley Smith Shields plays on the left-hand side.
He's in jersey number 2, so
like you said, it doesn't mean much. And
yeah. Whether Harley Smith Shields has been played last couple of weeks, he'll be there again.
Yeah. So, and I think the forward battle, I think the Raiders are in a much healthier position than what they were maybe, say, 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they've just knocked off a top 4 contender, so morale's now at all-time high.
If this game was played 5 weeks ago, I would have said Newcastle to win.
I gotta say, the Raiders 1-12.
But that was 5 weeks ago. I'm gonna say Raiders are going to win 13 plus, win by 24. I reckon they're going to outgun Newcastle by a fair bit.
And for your second doubleheader at Suncorp, the Melbourne Storm playing the Penrith Panthers. Now there has been a big blow for the Panthers. There is no Brian To'o, who is expected the next 6 weeks through injury. So Robert Jennings comes on to the wing and Brett Naden recalled into the centres. Tyrone May has been ruled out, so Matt Burton moves to 5'8", and Jerome Omluai starts at halfback. Isaiah Yeo been rested after copying that horrible knock caused by Tom Flegler, so Matt Eisenhuth moves into the starting side at lock forward, and Jermaine Hopgood and Isaac Tago join Scott Sorensen and Spencer Lenu on the bench. No word. Oh, and also Liam Martin moves into the front row with no James Fisher-Harris. Tavita Pangai Jr. has not been named.
And the reason why Fisher-Harris isn't there is because he's got family reasons.
For the birth of his child, that's what they said.
Well, there you go.
And he was going to return, and I think to Sydney for the birth of his child, and then come back into the bubble in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Storm. Munster is back. Finucane is back. And Felice Kofusi are back. So Cooper Johns and Trent Lorio is dropping out, and Tuikamuka back to the bench.
And the biggest...
Harry Grant is back, and he's only been named to the reserves.
They'll monitor him before kickoff, but
yeah.
I think more than likely Harry Grant will come off the bench.
Yeah.
And I think maybe...
And then Nico Hines stays at full back.
For the moment.
Pappenhausen named on the bench again, and Sofa Solomon has been left out of the squad this week.
Any reason?
No, just says he's out this week. Probably a rest.
Well, this is not the same Panthers side, and they have just had another core of their strongest players taken out. I mean, there's still no Coruscant because he's serving the... I think, is this the second
week
of his 2-match ban for that biosecurity breach from Origin 2. And if Harry Grant comes in, I think this is a no contest. I think the Storm run away with this 13 to plus. I think.
Well, if Penrith had Cleary and Fisher-Harris and the likes, like had full strength,
I think
then it would have been a very close contest.
I touched
like
on this
back in round 3.
Yeah, I touched on this just not too long ago when we were covering their match against the Broncos. They were rudderless when they lost their link man and Yeo in the middle of the field. The attack wasn't fluent. I mean, they scored tries, but they just weren't fluent.
No.
And the Broncos almost rolled over the top of them. Melbourne are going to steamroll them.
Yeah.
With all the players that they've got out.
Pretty much full strength.
And Pappenhausen through the middle. I mean,
whenever he gets injected
Olam,
into the game.
Adokar, Kenny Bromwich are going to have a field day. Then you get the cheese in the middle of the feet. Elroy Eyes in the middle of the
fence.
fence.
And Munster back as well.
And Cam Munster, that's an even bigger influence.
Yeah. Yeah. Melbourne by 32. It's a big call for me to say Melbourne to win by 32, but Penrith aren't full strength. They had Toto there, Yo there, Fisher Harris there, Cleary there, full strength. It would be a lot closer, but no, it's not going to be as close as everyone's going to think it is.
Now, we've got the Canterbury Bulldogs back on the Gold Coast against the Titans. One change from the side that ran over the top of St George Illawarra 32-10. Patrick Herbert has been suspended for a high shot, so Isan Masters comes into the enters, and David Fafita is named to start in the second row, with Beau Fermor dropping back to the bench. And the good news for the Titans, Jamal Fogarty is named in the reserves alongside Anthony Dong.
The Dogs, Adam Elliott is back this week, and Luke Thompson is out for 3 weeks, as we mentioned.
So I would probably expect from that maybe Chris Patolo or Joe Stimson to be called into the side.
Well, Joe Stimson has dropped out to the reserves, and Tony's cut from the squad. Matt Dury is joining Seaman as an addition on the bench. Kyle Flanagan is back at halfback. Maybe because Gus Gould's there, he might have said, I'll give Kyle another shot. With Lachlan Lewis going back to extend the bench, probably so he can get his wrestling career back under wraps. As they see, Josh Jackson's going back to the number 13. So, I don't know what's happening there with Elliott. Luke Thompson. Well, probably what you said would be accurate.
3-week ban for the late show of Blake Brayley.
Because you know who's going to probably replace Thompson. You'll probably got more of a chance of knowing who's going to replace Thompson
more than likely, based on the trends, Siamana Fanai will move into the starting front row alongside Jack Hetherington, and then between Chris Patolo and Joe Stimson will be added to the bench. Then, of course, Lewis or Valakiku Manu will become your 18th man, straight up.
Well, you know the Dog squad inside out, so...
I know most squads on both sides of the world, almost inside out, but
you want to support more than the others, obviously.
Yeah. The Dogs stuck it to the Sharks for a good chunk of the game. Like, for early 20 minutes in the second half, we were almost back in it.
Yes.
And the Sharks, they were completely rudderless. Well, not really rudderless without Johnson, but they just couldn't handle our aggression in the middle of the field, getting that forward momentum and then rolling off the back of it.
Yeah. But is it worth dropping Lachlan Lewis and giving Kyle Flanagan another shot? Is that Gould's influence?
I don't know if it's Gus's influence or if it's Trent Barrett's influence. We've really given Gus a run here. First,
shout out to Gus Gould.
First, it's sort of passive-aggressive dismantling of all his arguments on why Australia and New Zealand made the right call to withdraw from the World Cup. Then I agree with him on the fact that the bunker should be blown up. Not that I'm advocating acts of violence. I'm just saying, just get rid of the bunker and let's just let the referees referee the game. And now I'm sort of in the neutral position where I'm sort of wondering how the inner workings of the man who is the Bulldogs' general manager of football, and I'm trying to decipher and explain to you what I think is happening with Lachlan Lewis.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's Gus's influence with Flanagan coming back in. There you go. Didn't Gus call Gus didn't call the game when Lachlan Lewis made.
No, it was Fox Sports.
Yeah. Well, put it this way. He's probably seen Lewis's wrestling debut and thought, this is not good enough. When I get here, I'm bringing Flanagan back in. And he's probably done exactly that.
Well, I think Flanagan was looking for certainty because there was rumours he was going to get shopped around to the UK, and then Gus has come out and said, "No, I think Kyle deserves one more chance. I think this is the beginning of that one last chance to try and cement his place, considering the recruitment drive Canterbury had been on, and the fact that Matt Burton's coming to the club next year.
We recently signed Paul Vaughan.
And of course, we've signed Paul Vaughan.
Yeah, that's only been announced since last episode, which we all knew was going to happen anyway.
I'm worried about the Dave Fafita. That's going to be my main concern because he's going to be marking up against Adam Elliott out on the left-hand side.
And you haven't got Luke Thompson there.
No, with Thompson we lose some of our forward power, and I think Elliott is best when he's playing in the middle of the field. But for some reason, Josh Jackson gets a short run on the edge, as he should be, and then he's back in the middle of the field. So I don't know.
This is going to be a game day swap.
Yeah, still good.
That's
still
been
good.
known to happen across all teams.
And I think the fact that we're carrying Beyond the Odo again, because we know the moment we get him onto the field at dummy half, we just kick into another gear. So I'm really sort of leaning to the fact that the Dogs will throw some. We can give to the Titans as good as we can get, but I think the Titans still come away 1-12.
I'd say Titans win by 14. If Toby Sexton played a game like he did last week, again this week, yeah, the Dogs will be in strife. But you never know. I've only said by 14 because the Dogs will give a good fight.
And last up, from the Moreton Daily Stadium in Redcliffe, we have the Cronulla Sharks and the Manly Sea Eagles. A couple of outs for Des Hasler. Josh Aloye is out, I think, due to injury mainly, and Sean Kepi has been asked to be taken out of the bubble so he can, I think, birth of his child, I think? First child. So Carl Lawton is back in the side on the bench, and so is Curtis Sirenen since round 1, which is a pretty long time between drinks.
That's true. For the Sharks, John Johnson, as we mentioned, is out for at least 4 to 6 weeks. So Brandon Chindrell will be replaced at halfback, if I get it right.
Yeah, Trindle at halfback.
Yeah, with Tracy taking over the 5'8" and Will Chambers making his returns after making his 2-week quarantine all done and dusted. Matt Moreland is back, but is
in the reserves.
He could be 18th man. Aidan Tolman is back from suspension, so Rudolph returns to lock, and Jack Williams to the bench with Moane Hirote out altogether.
The Sharks and Manly. The Battle of the Beaches in Redcliffe.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
It sounds poetic, doesn't it? Battle of the Beaches on Redcliffe.
Yeah. It does have a little bit. Who knows?
The Sharks will miss Sean Johnson's influence on the side that he has.
Severely,
both flanks,
he's been playing really good.
Both flanks of the Sharks are pretty strong. I mean, you've got Katoa on one edge and you've got Ronaldo Mulatalo on the other. If you get them good enough ball, more than likely, 9 times out of 10, they will score.
Yeah. But yeah, look at the right Manly are going. I mean, the Sharks are going well too.
But yeah, you look at the rate Manly are going, you're thinking, yeah, you're going to suffer for this.
Who, Manly or the Sharks?
The Sharks.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, on the left edge, it's Josh Schuster. On the other edge, it's Hamule Olakawatu. It's a Manly 13-plus win. I just think
it's going to be a close
through the edges, Manly will tear the Sharks apart.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be a tough one. They are going to be Sean Johnson the most, I believe, for the Sharks. With Manly, with Curtis Sirenen coming back in, hopefully he'll have a big of an impact of a game. Obviously, first time in a long time for him. But you just have to look at the bloody back line that they've been in terrific form this year, along with Olakawatu and the like. So, Manly to win by 16.
Yep.
That's my prediction.
There we go. All right. Well, that is your round 19 and 20 prediction for the NRL. If you like either this part, our first Super League part that we're only doing first for the next couple of weeks, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the Sideline Chat podcast so you never miss a week of rugby league action. Hope you enjoy all the football you can this weekend, and we will see you next week. Along with Mark Henry, I have been Connor Marcellus, and you have been listening to the Sideline Chat podcast. We'll see you next week.
See you all.